Hi, I'm MoOne from MoOne Drama, and this is MoOne Interviews. My guest today is Emily Thomas, and she is a clown and an arts educator. Hello, Emily. Kong si fa chai. This is Chinese New Year today, first day. Well, first of all, how did you become a clown?
First and foremost, a happy auspicious New Year to everybody out there. And thank you so much, MoOne, for having me to grace the on-screen stage with you. So back to your question. How did I jump into being a clown, right? So this is an interesting story. About 13 years ago, when I was working in corporate, I had a really good friend who was a professional clown. He still is. He took me out for lunch one day and I was ranting about how I don't think I fit in corporate. And I was ranting about how unhappy I was with life and sitting in an office, not feeling like I'm in my element, and I felt like I was struggling. And then he looked me straight deadpan into the eyes and said, "Emily, don't you know you've got what it takes to become a clown? Why don't you pursue your natural talents?" And that stopped me in my tracks. And I looked at him and I was like, I don't think my parents would actually be very happy about me telling them like, hey, I'm going to go and become a clown after many years of you spending money and educating me and paying for my college tuition fees. And he said to me, well, think about it. And then I'm always going to be here. And I actually went home and I realized he had planted that seed in my head. It took me 1 year to have that seed marinate in my head and in my heart. And one day, after 1 year, I was like, I'm done. I have to do something else. So I quit my job and I knocked on his door and I said, teach me. And he became my sifu. He taught me everything I know as a clown. I'm still learning. It's been 13 years. I'm still learning how to. Oh my gosh! Hello, fellow clown.
With their right mind, we didn't even want to be a clown. I mean, like, why? Honestly, Emily, I really don't understand. But it's amazing, like this is actually a career that somebody could make, a career move. All right, I'm going to take this off.
Yeah, you're stealing my thunder.
That is the nose that you gave me at our clown workshop, which you conducted at MoOne Drama, which was
That's right.
very fun. It was super fun. Learning how to be a clown, step 1, step 2, how to make a balloon puppy, those things. But it's really fascinating that you would take that choice. You had some obstacles like family.
So I thought my family would be an obstacle, and it took me a long time to go up to my dad and say, hey pa, I'm going to become a clown. But that actually surprised me, and my dad gave me his blessing, and I think I for the first time saw him smile with a different kind of pride, knowing that I was going to be okay. But my biggest obstacle when I started off was finance. I went from a very cushy, comfortable corporate pay to some months not even getting any pay. I went from eating in La Bodegas to sitting down in the local mamaks and having roti canai. And back then, roti canai was 40 cents a piece,
For those of you who don't know what roti canai is, it's like a very cheap bread and curry that you can eat in a restaurant. What a brave move. And have you ever regretted it?
There was one time about halfway through my mark 5 years ago. We had a little bit of an economic crisis and events were not doing well. I was so fed up of having good months and bad months. I left the clowning path. I went and became a content writer. Well, that opened my eyes. And 5 months later, I went back to being a clown again and never looked back. Sometimes you need that to go back to the dark and then go like, oh, I missed the light. Let's go back.
So this less pay is a small sacrifice for the life that you'd like to live. You'd rather sacrifice some of the salary and work for yourself in entertainment than have to work for somebody else in the corporate world. Yeah, I understand how that must feel completely.
The other struggle that I faced was I failed to realize that when I went out to become a clown, I not only had to become a clown, I had to embody the personality and the mindset of an entrepreneur, which was something I was not equipped with. And that's where, I faced my biggest obstacles, because I was a very good clown. I am still a very good clown, but I did not know how to market myself. I did not know the business plan. I did not know how to think like a business person. And that's why I struggled.
Yeah.
So it took me that long a time to really finally, realize, this is how you do it.
So what sort of advice would you give to somebody who is embarking on that decision of whether to give up their full-time job to do something that they're passionate about? If it's a creative venture and they want to market themselves, what's the best advice you could give them in learning how to do that?
Okay, so I will start with my very generic advice, which is to always follow your passion and the money will follow. Always keep that at the back of your mind. Follow your passion, because when you follow your passion, you will hone in on your skills. And when you hone in on your skills, you become really good at what you do. And when you do that, you will not worry about competition. They can do what they want to do because nobody can do what you do. And that is what I always advocate, to sell yourself as a brand. You become your brand. And that way you eliminate your stress about thinking about competition. You eliminate your stress about where's the money going to come tomorrow, because you are selling yourself and you embody yourself 24/7. You become the product that you are selling. If you asked me this 1 year ago, I would have given you a very wishy-washy answer. But, I've learned along the way.
So you entertain, but you also educate as well. How did that transition come about?
Steve Jobs always talked about connecting the dots and, connect the dots backwards. Interestingly enough, I went into education through another avenue, which was poetry. I was invited to join the Poetry Cafe KL ensemble team, which was run by Elaine Foster. And to be perfectly honest, they embraced me and I learned so much from them. And Poetry Cafe KL at that point until today have always been very fierce arts educators. They've been pioneering the arts education in Malaysia, and I've been really lucky to have been able to learn a lot of the ropes from the founder, Elaine Foster, and all the other actors who played their part in PCKL. And to be honest, and that's how I met you too, and I learned so much from you as well. I pushed a side of me deep down inside to pursue one thing. I realized that I'm actually an educator at heart. I love teaching. It's something that brings something out from me and I shine. It was not something that I admitted to myself or to someone else. And the more I thought, the more it came out. And the more the students, I think the kids are the ones who just pull that out of me.
Yes, most of the best teachers that I know did not plan on becoming a teacher or an educator. They planned on something else, but realized that because it's a passion of theirs that they engage in, the sharing of it is so rewarding. What's your new business called, by the way?
Life's a stage.
Life's a stage.
Life's a stage. You know where that saying comes from?
Yes, that has only just started. It's very, very new. You just put up your Facebook page, yesterday or the day before, and it's
2 days
growing.
ago, yes.
It's already growing. So now you're marketing this. It's a company founded by you. What do you teach and what do you cover in this?
I start teaching kids from as young as 4 years old, and I stop at 17. A lot of people kept asking me to teach younger kids, and to be honest, I want to teach older kids because they're fun. I sit down and have an adult conversation with them. If you're 15-year-old, I can, help them feel better and validated by treating them like an adult, unlike the other adults. So, I've always wanted to teach older kids, but then your best laid plans never come out the way you want it to be. I've always been pushed into teaching younger kids, and I realized that it's not just the gift that I have. I understand them. I can put myself at their level when I talk to a 5-year-old. I remember how I was a 5-year-old and how adults spoke to me. I remember it all comes back to me. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to talk to you the way I wanted to be talked to. When you say, why can't I do that? I will explain it to you. I'll allow you to make your own decision. And that gives me so much joy, so much joy. So I love
very
teaching younger kids.
satisfying. So in your career that has now encompassed many years and you haven't looked back, you haven't got any regrets, is there anything that you can share with us that has meant something very important to you?
I love to share that one moment in my past that was my turning point. And that was that moment where I really knew what I was doing in my life had a purpose. So, about 11 years ago, I was clowning at a mall in Kapong, and this family comes up to me and say, hey, would you please come down to Johor and do a private function for our son? And we'll pay you whatever you want. And I was like, wow, this is the first time someone's asked me something like this. I will definitely, they were willing to pay me thousands just to drive down to Johor. But I didn't think of the money. And I was like, oh my gosh, somebody really likes me that much. And woohoo, I get to drive down to Johor to do a job. So I did. I said yes to them. And I went down to Tangkak, Johor, and I did a private clown show for this 11-year-old boy. This 11-year-old boy was suffering from terminal cancer. He had leukemia and he had 1 week left to live.
Oh, no.
So,
this is his
yeah.
dying wish. Oh.
Yes. So the parents got me there and I did it. I did a private show for him in the living room. He was on the mattress on the floor. He couldn't sit. He was in so much of pain, but he was laughing and crying and laughing and crying intermittently. And it was me. I had to stop the show every 10 minutes, run to the bathroom, wipe my tears, retouch my makeup, and come back and continue performing for him. He had so much fun. And that was the hardest performance I've ever done in my life. Was the hardest. I had to deal with so much of my own emotions at that point. I ended up only taking money for my petrol and my supplies from the parents. I didn't have the heart to charge them for it. And when I got back to KL, they still deposited money into my account. 1 week later, the mom gave me a call and said that he had passed on. And she said, thank you very much, because it was his wish to see a clown. He loved clowns. And thank you very much. You were like a part of the family. And that was my turning point. That was my turning point. That's when I realized I'm an entertainer, not for the money. All entertainers have value, intangible value. There's a reason why we do what we do. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That is a really key point to think about for everyone who is in the entertainment business. What is the value and why do you do it? The sort of work that we do goes back eons. We have had people entertaining, storytelling, sharing arts. It's only in the modern era where we have to utilize this monetary system that we're working with now, where people experience value differently. But if you go back to the core essence of what is value, then this is of more value than money can buy. Storytelling.
Indeed, I agree.
You can't put a price on it, yet we have to. We have to do it in order that we can live. It's a very poignant thing to think about in terms of what is the value of being an arts entertainer, an arts educator. We always get a sense that there is something that is fundamental to humanity in it and that we're partaking in that. That's the value. The difficult thing is marrying the modern world into it. How do you survive in terms of like having to organize your time, your day, your experiences so that you feel rewarded both ways?
I decided to wear more than one hat to earn money, so that if this avenue gets blocked, then I've got two more avenues where finances come in. That's something that took me several years to realize that I had to do if I wanted to pursue my passion. And thankfully, God has graced me with some gifts and talents, which I am completely utilized. And that actually has given me a lot of self-satisfaction and self-contentment in the process. During the pandemic, the clowning is a complete standstill. And it's been 13 years since I had started becoming a clown. So I am at a stage where I am the go-to clown. If you're looking for a clown today in Malaysia, you come to me. It took me 13 years to build my name. And now that I'm on top and pandemic hit and I can't pursue that avenue, I tried doing it online. A bunch of us clowns got together to figure out how we wanted to do. The World Clown Organization got together and figured out what to do. Clowning doesn't come across over the screen, unfortunately. But what can go over the screen is the arts education. It's a little bit more easier. Children can grasp it a little bit more, because when you're entertaining, you don't just entertain with your face, you entertain with the air around you, your persona.
Even if it is a filmed performance, there's always a live audience. It's
Right.
just not, it's difficult unless you have like a storyline set, like a Mr. Bean type of scenario where you're shooting it as a story and then piecing it together, which is like a full-on production. To entertain an audience means entertaining live. The audience must be present, interacting with you. So think about all those clowns, everybody out there, all the clowns around the world that we have taken for granted all these years. They have been unable to work unless they have a second venture like you and me. So arts education.
Yeah, a lot of my friend clowns have opened burger stalls, restaurants, gone into other kind of work just to keep themselves afloat.
Can't imagine. Well, I can imagine actually, because I mean, it stopped for all of us. We all had that crisis moment of what do we do? Thankfully, for apps like Zoom and others that enable us to stay connected, we've managed to work things out. But if this had happened 5 years ago, we would be so stuck. But you've managed to set up your own company despite a pandemic. So like, that is remarkable in itself. Like, you've gone in and you've created Life's a Stage. What has given you that grit and determination?
Okay, apart from the grit and determination, the truth is I can't sell arts and crafts. I'm not that kind of an artistic kind of person. I don't have confidence in opening up a restaurant, because my parents ran a restaurant and a catering business for many years, and I saw how hard work it was. The hard work that my parents put in their restaurant business gave my dad a stroke, and I didn't want to walk down that same path. So that's why I kind of didn't have a choice, because I put so much effort this past 5 years into honing the skills that I have right now. And it was a lot of hard work and blood and sweat and failing and learning. I mean, when the pandemic hit us, I think I took 3 whole months just staring at the wall in disbelief. And for the first time, hearing words like Zoom and Google Meets and Google Classroom, and trying to figure out how to handle. I think it took me a good 6 months to just wrap my head around this whole thing and to learn. So it didn't come easy. It was a learning. I'm sure you went through the same thing, right?
Yeah, although
Was it the same with you?
I had online classes before from 2018. So I had divided my teaching into in-studio classes and then one-on-one video classes, because all of my students were doing different pieces, and then to Zoom or Skype one-on-one, so that we could go through the meaning of their pieces, the in-depth understanding of their characters. Kind of, I utilized it already, but I had no backup plan for this, to be honest. Like, what would happen if we couldn't meet up in a studio? It wasn't in my mind. I mean, it was more logical what would happen if my laptop broke. I write movie scripts and I write plays and I write, dramas and things like that. So there was going to be more of that, but I didn't know it would last this long. So I've had to adapt to doing everything online and getting my work done. But I'd love to go back to the studio and teach. I'd love to go back being face to face.
And it comes with its own sorts of sets of challenges as well, right?
Absolutely. Totally. Lots of challenges. Lots of them.
It's true. We were forced to stop, check, and then see where we're going to move towards as well. Do you get tired when you are teaching a class via Zoom? Because for me, I found out that teaching a class sitting on a chair takes a lot more energy out of me than physically jumping up and down with the kids in a classroom.
I get swollen ankles if I just sit down too long. I have to jump about a bit and move.
But it's interesting. Oh my gosh, my 4-year-old class 2 months ago, one of my students literally snapshotted a picture of herself and then she put that in her screen. And I constantly kept thinking that she was frozen. So every time I had to ask a question, her screen was frozen. And I did not get mad. I was so proud of her because she used her creativity and I was so proud of her.
At 4 years old, I would not have thought of that. Oh, wow, that is genius. Okay, we'd like to learn something from you. What could you teach us? Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring, and I'm going to share with you something that I love. I've been doing this because as a clown, I use puppets in my show. I've also recently joined the production. Well, we're supposed to have a show, but pandemic happened, so we are frozen. But with Siapa Theatre, the guys who teach puppetry, I've had the immense pleasure to learn a lot of things from the founder, Helena Fu. Hi, Helena, if you're watching this. And I'm going to share how to make your own sock puppet. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove my virtual background. Puppets are such an integral part of storytelling. This is something that appeals to the younger kids, the older kids, the young kids who have older people's body. And the easiest way to create a puppet is to literally take a sock. You take a sock, any sock. You can take an old sock. When you take your sock,
2 old socks.
so you've got your sock. Yeah, yours is such a long sock. So you can make a really long puppet that has maybe a necktie, or you could make something. I take this puppet and you put the puppet in your hand, and then you take the ankle part and you put your thumb inside. You can take a piece of hard cardboard, you cut it out in an oval shape, and then you paste it, you stick it here, and then it becomes a mouth. You can take that, or you could cut off a hole in this side, and then you can stick this inside. You see, I've used ping pong balls, and I used one of those plastic bottle caps as the nose. I took some of my parcel string and just stuck it at the back, and voila, I have myself a homemade puppet. And it's really interesting when you tell a story using a puppet. You are talking and your hand is moving. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the sock puppet, and you see that you use your palm in this way, like a duck. You make a duck. When you are talking as a puppet, what you need to do is you need to practice how your mouth really works. You have to realize what the syllables are. You can't simply open your mouth and, you learn how to synchronize how the mouth is. And then you channel a character into this sock puppet. So I'm going to put my sock puppet out, and I'm just going to introduce my sock puppet to you. I'm also a ventriloquist. What I do is I tend to throw my voices. So you can't see my lips, but I know it is working. That took me a lot of years of training. That's right. You're gonna use your tongue as your lips. That's true.
Hello. I can't really do this today. I'm gonna look a bit ugly. I got.
Good job, MoOne. Just don't smile so creepily, okay? So when you're telling a story and you're using a sock puppet, the sock puppet is like a human. They move their head, their eyes go big, their mouths go like, oh, really? Holy cheese balls! And I love puppets because it cuts away your inhibition. Sometimes, not everyone is an extrovert. Not everybody is ready to tell a story from their heart. So it's really easy to channel the attention to another part. So when this is the focus of attention, you don't feel the stress. I kind of think it's the same with me because I speak a lot more clear and more concise. And I don't say much when I'm using my sock puppet to talk for me. It's an interesting psychological thing. And it makes a great aid for stories. It makes such a great component. And that's why, puppetry is a main part of drama and theater as a device for teaching. This is just a basic form of puppetry. I just wanted to share with you. You can create a story and you can tell stories just using this puppet. I've learned that kids connect with the adult or the teacher faster through the puppet. They trust the puppet, and by trusting the puppet, by proxy, they trust you as well. So very easy. I would like you, if when you're watching, when you're at home, just take an old sock and stick some balls, tennis ball, ping pong ball. If you're telling a story to your kids, a bedtime story, and you use the puppet, you're introducing a 3-dimensional, sometimes even 4-dimensional element into your communication. And this actually helps children who are shy to speak up. Not every kid likes to talk. Not every kid likes to be in front and under the limelight.
I was a child who never liked to talk or be in the limelight ever. I'm the sort of kid that would not be elected for a drama class if that was what was on offer. I'd hardly participate. I'd hardly say a word. But it went in. It all went in. I absorbed everything. One day I was asked to perform on stage. Obviously, I didn't want to. I mean, why would I want to do that? Like get up on a stage and talk in front of people. But I felt like my back was against the wall. I'd done all these drama classes. Everybody else is doing it. So why not battle my own fear? And it's true. I trust the puppet, but I trust the character. When I'm dressed up, I'm not me. So it's not me going out there. That was how I got over it. So I'm in somebody else's costume. I'm in somebody else's character. I can go out and be them, but that's not me. As long as I didn't look like me or act like me, I'm not me. And it helped because the moment that I could do that, I felt elevated to the next level of I've just crossed that threshold. I can actually go in front of people and say things and, I'm not scared. So I can relate. I'm one of those kids who would not do that, but through force of circumstance ended up doing it and realizing the value of it it's so much that it turns into my career, my life. The actual act of getting from 0 to performer and then to publicly speak. And here I am on YouTube talking and telling the whole world it's not me, but it's me now. It's totally me now. Those children that you see, those little ones that come and they're so shy and you use your little sock puppet.
Look at us. I was an introvert myself.
Yeah, it goes on and on and on. Yeah, I mean, you never stop being shy. You never stop being an introvert, but you do learn how to handle it. So I think what you're doing, how you're engaging with the empathy that you're using through the knowledge that you've gained and the experiences, you've found what is of value and what isn't. And you've put it all together and you've created your own recipe for teaching arts and sharing arts and crafts, or sharing the craft of arts with others in all the different age categories from 4 to 17. And now you've opened up your company and you've branded yourself. This is who you are. You are Emily, who is a clown, yet you've also got so much to share, so much to offer, and so much to teach. It's amazing.
Thank you, MoOne. I mean, it's a philosophy, isn't it? A scientific philosophy where drama imitates life, imitates drama.
That's right.
And that is that circle of life.
That's it. Life is a stage. And I love the way that you have shared your journey with us. I hope that this inspires anyone out there who's got that idea that what they're following in their path is not their true path, and have acknowledged that it's going to take some courage and commitment to steer their life towards what they're really passionate about, what has to be sacrificed and what has to be maintained. And I know that it's been so difficult for so many people, including people who've tried to make that choice in the past. But now we're moving forward. This is our new world. This is our new platform. This is our new stage. What are we going to make out of it? How are we going to set the scene? And what are we going to project onto that stage from ourselves? Do we want to go back, or do we want to turn the corner to move forward? Because that is where we're at.
You just gave the perfect TED talk. Bravo. That was amazing. And I just want to add one more thing. Something that I just learned. Don't have to speed it up. It's not a race. Take your own time.
And we at MoOne Drama wish you at Life's a Stage all the best, sweet success, and everything that could be understood in marketing terms, successful, as well as inner peace, satisfaction, and contentment. Are there any links?
So for now, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as Life's a Stage. It's as simple as that. Everything is Life's a Stage. Just set it up. I hope you're patient enough with me till I sort everything out. I will be having a little chat session with some mothers on Zoom the coming weekend. I wanted to hear the pandemic from the point of view of the mothers and what they have gone through within this year. So I'm going to kickstart with a little chat session with the mothers, and then after that I want to have a chat session with the teachers, and after that even a chat session with kids. I believe having a whole complete circle when we are talking about education, you can't look at things from just one point of view. How are we going to get better? How are we going to teach? How are we going to learn? How are we going to teach the future generation and right the past mistakes that we have had? So for me on Life's a Stage on Facebook, if you want to become a personal friend, I'm Emily Thomas. Do check out Siapa Theatre. You can find them on the social media under SIAPA. Amazing work that they do with puppetry as well. Apart from that, I'd also like to say, MoOne, you have taught me quite a lot. I think I learned so much talking to you because you inspire me. You've always inspired me. And when I started this Life's a Stage, my biggest chunk of the piece was working with imagination. And that is something I have learned from you. Wanted to say thank you to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Let us know how it goes. Maybe in a few months, you can drop in and let us know how the business is going. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for having me.
Remember to like, share, and subscribe to MoOne Drama for the choicest, tastiest, most wholesome drama around.